Welcome to another episode of This Week on Disney YouTube. I got SamChat in the house. Our good friend SamChat. What is going on, Sam? We are breaking down a Hey Bricky video, or actually technically a Bricky vlog video all about Tomorrowland. We're also going to dip into some Den of Nerds live talking about this user-generated AI situation going on at Disney Plus that was announced today. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. SamChat is in the house. Let's go. OG 50. Wait a minute. Actually, Sam, you know what? I didn't even realize it until after I hit it. We are both West Coast guys here. So I did the wrong intro. Here we go. Let's do this. Let's do this one more time. Here we go.
I ain't got nothing to say but West Side.
There we go. Now
there we go. West Coast all the way.
all the way. We got two Californians here talking about some California stuff. But Sam, welcome on the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, OG. Thank you so much for having me back on. And yeah, I'm excited to dive right in.
Yeah. We'll dive right in. We got two great videos today. We're gonna break down. Before we do, Sam, where can everybody find you on social media, my friend?
You can find me at SamChat Productions on Instagram, and you can find me at SamChat21 on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Occasionally.
Occasionally.
There he is, Mr. West Coast.
Hi.
There he is. All right. So are you ready, Sam, to break these down?
I'm ready.
Okay. So this is courtesy of our friend, Hey Bricky. His secondary channel, Bricky Vlog, makes amazing content. If you are not subscribed already, make sure you do so. He does a lot of great stuff over there, and just an overall great guy. So we love Bricky. This video in particular, though, is fascinating. It's about Tomorrowland and how it can't be saved, or can it? We're going to talk about it. But Sam, any thoughts going into this before I press play?
Yeah, Tomorrowland, it's an interesting situation, right? Because like there's a lot that needs to be fixed. A lot of stuff just sort of a lot of stuff just sort of sitting there, abandoned, like the people mover tracks and the like the rocket jets, the Astro Orbiter, whatever, or the Orbitron, whatever it's called. A lot of it's just sitting there. So there's a lot to fix for sure.
Yeah, it's what they call a fixer-upper. Absolutely. Well, let's see what Bricky has to say. I'm going to hit the play button now. Sam, you know the drill. You know I'm going to play it, but if there's any part along the way where you want me to stop it so we can chat about it, just let me know.
Sounds good.
Today I'm going to take you on a tour around Tomorrowland and show you why every single item in Tomorrowland needs to be completely removed and why this land is in need of a hard reboot. I'll tell you where this idea came from as we go around looking at every location and breaking down why it's not a part of tomorrow, it's a part of sorrow. So the very first item that we see when we visit the World of Tomorrow is a construction box that has been sitting here ever since they took out the French fry rocks. It's been here so long that the concept artwork on the front.
You know, it's crazy.
It's been there forever. When are they gonna do something with that?
I mean, hopefully. Here's the backstory with this thing. I think this like construction box thing or whatever was put here in 2019, right before the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
We were promised this new entrance, never got it. And they just kept the construction walls up. Now I get it. Look, I'm very forgiving when it comes to like, you know, the pandemic and what have you. I understand that like shook things up at Disney and really around the world, right?
Yeah.
But come on, Disney. You know, it's time. I mean, come on. The pandemic now is years behind us. it's time to address the construction box, you know.
Yeah, from my understanding, though, they need this box though, because like I think Bricky says it in this video here, but from my understanding, like they actually need the box for like the Astro Orbiter. So I get if it's like an operational need, but like even just like a planter or like a bush or something, you know,
Right? No, absolutely.
just something. Yeah.
Front of this box has had to be refreshed because the sun faded it until you could no longer tell what it was. And sitting back inside of here are control panels needed to operate or to run the Astro Orbiter. I'm pretty sure that's what's there. I know there is some sort of control panel thing that exists here, and that's why the box has to be here. But either way, we are greeted by an obstruction as soon as we enter Tomorrowland, where the very first attraction is another obstruction. Absolutely one of the worst place attractions in all of Disneyland. When we visit the future, where Walt had dreamed of creating a city, eventually out in Orlando at Epcot, where he would show how urban design could make cities swell and grow as the citizens of the cities could perfectly navigate around the future, we are met with something that's dead set in the middle, forcing guests to decide left or right. And you should never force guests to decide. It should just be instinctive. And when we
And here's the thing too, this era of Disneyland was in my opinion, a really dark era in the history of the park. You know, Paul Pressler was like the president at that time, I believe, still, when they were doing this whole Tomorrowland renovation, this Tomorrowland 98, as they called it. This Paul Pressler era is when we lost a lot of iconic attractions. We lost the submarines, which did come back, so that's cool. But we lost the Skyway, we lost the People Mover. I mean, I think the motorboats as well. We lost that in this era. I mean, there was a lot that was just shuttered on Pressler's watch, and he was literally, that's why a lot of fans complain about stuff nowadays. I mean, I get it. Disney is not a perfect company by any means, and they're still not perfect. But those days were so bad that like everything else for me kind of pales in comparison. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. Current Disney isn't perfect, but it wasn't like back then, you know? So even the park in general didn't look good. A lot of peeling paint, burnt out light bulbs. The maintenance was like in the gutter. It was terrible. But anyway, so my point though is it doesn't shock me that the design work was kind of because that era they were making all kinds of mistakes, you know, and even the funding for this stuff was terrible, like with the rocket rods and everything. So
see our first official Tomorrowland sign, it is a serif-face font. Nothing says the future like a serif-face font. Now,
Yeah,
Star
even like
Tours
DCA 1.0
is a great ride,
Sorry.
and people.
Oh no, I'm good. Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
Even like DCA 1.0 was like a disaster too, with like Sunshine Plaza and Superstar Limo.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. See, that was kind of like that opened DCA 1.0 opened in 2001. So all the planning and you know, design work for that was kind of at the end of this era, or in right in there with this era. And it was a rough time for Disney, in my opinion. You know?
Yeah, and like with the Astro Orbiter, I could kind of like from an aesthetic perspective, I could kind of see where they may have gone with it, because like the Astro Orbiter was in like the front, and then you had like the rocks. It sort of created some nice kinetics, but like I think when it comes to like operations and like guest flow, I just think it's positioned in the worst place possible.
No, it is. It is. And Bricky is the perfect person to kind of navigate us through this kind of this architectural thing. He has that background in architecture, and that's really one of the main things that got me into his content was that background, because there's no other creators out there in this space that have that background. And when he goes into this stuff, he's analyzing it from a different angle than we are visually, right? He's coming at it from that architectural perspective, and I love that about him.
For sure.
People absolutely love it. But we have to question its redundancy now that there is Smuggler's Run over inside of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And in fact, next year, it is Smuggler's Run that is getting the updates to promote Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters next year, instead of Star Tours getting the update. So it's already being ignored by Disney, and both Star Tours do exist in Disney parks that also got Smuggler's Run. So I wonder how long they'll keep this ride around when it does feel redundant. Its saving grace is
No, he's right. There is a level, there is an amount of redundancy that we're seeing here with Star Tours. The biggest like positive or whatever, or the biggest selling point, I guess you would say, for Star Tours staying there was the fact that it was easily swappable. You can take Ahsoka or
Yeah.
whatever is the new Star Wars thing and throw it in Star Tours. It's easy for them to do that, right?
Yeah.
But now they've kind of cracked the code for Smuggler's Run, right? Because Smuggler's Run is crazier technology. It's that Real Engine something. I don't know. I'm not a tech guy, but you know.
I think it was like, yeah, Real Engine.
Real Engine, right? Yeah. And so
I'm pretty sure.
it seems like they're able now to kind of do it in a way that is easier for them, or maybe they can start doing it more often. We're getting that Mandalorian and Grogu tie-in. If you can't swap out if you can swap the scenes out for Smuggler's Run with better technology and all that, why keep Star Tours? It makes no sense. I mean, and our boy Rex isn't even in there anymore. Rex was like the point. Like, I love that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a really tough argument now to keep this attraction. But go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, it is. I will say I still do really like both versions of Star Tours. Even like the new version as well, I think is still really good. I feel like it's always pretty cool when we get like an attraction where like the creator of the franchise was heavily involved with it. So like in this case, George Lucas was heavily involved with Star Tours and Indiana Jones, and Jim Henson with Muppet Vision, and even like John Lasseter with Cars Land. You know what I'm saying? So like I feel like it's always kind of painful when like Disney decides to close one of those kinds of attractions, such as like Muppet Vision. And that's one of the main reasons why personally I don't really want to see Star Tours closed. But and it's also too, it sounds like George Lucas wasn't really heavily involved with the creation of Galaxy's Edge. But I feel like if he had been more heavily involved, I probably would have been okay with the closure of Star Tours, just because, you know, it's important. I think it's important to have like that creator sort of involved.
Yeah.
So that's why ideally I'd like to see it move to Galaxy's Edge, but I don't think that would ever happen, and I don't think it necessarily makes sense. But
well, yeah, it's
yeah.
tough. I would like that too. I mean, ideally, it would be cool to have it just moved over, you know? Unfortunately, I think that the cost of doing that, Disney would probably figure not worth it. Unfortunately, it'd be cool to have it over there. It really would. But yeah, they're likely not gonna. And and I love how Bricky, myself, and you were all wearing black shirts. How Death Row Records of us, dude. You know, it's awesome. You can't get more West Coast than that, bro.
Yep.
You know,
that it's right at the edge of the land, so it could be preserved. But does Disney want to keep their Star Wars confusing and across the park, or would they rather have this land for something better? Like, would this be worth holding down the whole fort for Tomorrowland? I don't think so.
I mean, they've even stopped fixing the facade. There's a massive dent in the bottom left that has been there now for over a year. They just don't even take care of it anymore. Across the way, we have Astro Blasters. Again, another fine ride. People love it. Kids still love Toy Story and Buzz Lightyear. This is one of the few attractions that's made its way, I think, to nearly every single park around the globe. But when we look at the front three, Astro Orbiter, Star Tours, and Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, is this a land that is worth fighting for, especially when it's on the edge of the overall Tomorrowland footprint? Like, do you keep these three, build a new Space Mountain, and cap it off and call it a day? Or, as we'll learn today, do you call it a loss and look at what Disney Imagineering could do with a complete reboot of one of Disneyland's biggest lands? And then at the head.
And here's the thing, he gets into the whole case to be made here, but I do want to say, I think one of the biggest reasons Disney doesn't have a sense of urgency with any of this stuff in Tomorrowland, and one of those reasons is, he kind of touched upon it a little bit when he was talking about Astro Blasters, right? Or it's like, families still love it. There's still a massive line for that attraction. There's still a pretty good line for Star Tours. Like, Tomorrowland in general, despite the fact that it has all kinds of aesthetic issues, it's a hodgepodge visual mess, it still packs in people. So from Disney's perspective, they're thinking, well, why are we gonna, you know, spend all this money to kind of like reconfigure this and add new stuff when people are still in droves? Now, here's the thing, like, for you, me, and Bricky, we're all like, you know, diehards, you know, we're nerdy, right? So we want a better Tomorrowland, visually, aesthetically, more cohesively. I just don't know if the normies care enough, and Disney's really playing to that crowd. So I don't know. It's a tough one. It is tough.
Head of the entryway, we have the Star Traders, as well as green little army men, green spacemen. Like, I'm dyslexic. The name of the shop is another one of those Disney names that is way too long for my brain to process what words go in what order. So if you do love Star Tours and Buzz Lightyear, let me just pose this question for a moment. Imagine if they were each removed, as well as the shops that are at the end of both of the attractions. You now have a very sizable footprint to maybe bring in something that feels a little newer, a little fresher, and something that might actually capture a vision of a future base land. Or, hear me out, this is where we have to start thinking, does all of Tomorrowland need to stay in a Tomorrowland theme? There is clearly enough space here to do a abbreviated Tomorrowland as well as 1 or 2 additional lands. It is a massive amount of space. So on the grand entryway, where we have 3 attractions and 2 shops, what in there is worth fighting for? Because if Disney thinks about taking that all out, giving Imagineering a blank slate, they actually have a lot of space to work with. And important to note, the reason why I'm doing this video is because every single week when I do my Tuesday night live stream, the question of Tomorrowland does pop up. And so again, like my video on why Tron can't come to Disneyland, this is my video on why everything should be taken away. But I'm just building a...
Now, here's the thing. Bricky's absolutely right. And as a content creator, I've been doing this for a really, really long time. I've been doing content here on OG55 since 2016. And Tomorrowland, that subject, that topic of Tomorrowland has been one of the most debated, one of the most in-demand topics that compared to anything else I've ever discussed on the channel in the last, what, like 9 years almost that I've been doing this? Or yeah, 9 years that I've been doing this. Almost 10 years. Wow, it's crazy. But Tomorrowland is very, especially for, you know, Disneylanders, our Tomorrowland is a real sore spot for us. You know, we have an amazing park with Disneyland, damn near perfect in a lot of ways. And Tomorrowland is that blemish, you know, and we never got a fully realized Tomorrowland back in '98. We're thirsty. We're hungry for a good, decent Tomorrowland. And unfortunately, you know, it doesn't seem like it's coming anytime soon, but Bricky's right though. And he's a creator. He's in this space just like I am. We're talking to people all day long about this stuff. Tomorrowland is the topic. You know what I'm saying? Is the topic every diehard fan wants to talk about. So
for sure.
Case, because now that we're in the core of Tomorrowland, let's look at the 3 dead spaces that are awaiting us. This change in color shows us where Galactic Grill actually begins. Galactic Grill could easily be placed somewhere else. It's your standard walk-up restaurant, nobody's actual favorite restaurant, just a very convenient place to grab and go food inside of the park. Eat here all the time. And this footprint does possess basically the only live entertainment space inside of the entire land. Some seasons they use this, some seasons they don't. But again, a stage could be put wherever and maybe in a spot that's more efficient for everything else around it. What I'm saying about the Galactic Grill and the Tomorrowland Terrace is they're absolutely great little spots inside of Disneyland, but nobody books a vacation to come to these 2 locations. A grab-and-go restaurant as well as a stage could be put someplace way more efficient. Okay, as promised, let's look at 3 dead locations eating up a lot of space inside of Tomorrowland. Let's talk People Mover. Here at the very end of the grand entryway into Tomorrowland, we see the hub for the old People Mover. And its tracks route through every single building inside of Tomorrowland. It cannot come back as it is today. The conversion over to the rocket rods sealed its fate that this version of the People Mover is not coming back. Notice I said this version, because it's not dead forever, it's just dead in its current state. And again, a massive waste of space and also guest expectations, where literally the visual reward as you work your way through the land's main corridor, or really if you come to the land from its other direction coming in west from Fantasyland, is a platform of absolute junk. And junk that has sit here for now over 2 decades.
Ugh.
This is the greatest indication that all of this is waiting for a hard reboot, because they have turned a blind eye to what is literally the centrifuge of the land. But not to be out.
And I'm glad that Bricky brought that up, because honestly, I feel like a hard reboot is exactly what we need with it. We need, and I've said this before a lot on the channel, we need Disney, we need Tomorrowland to be completely bulldozed, right? And you could save Space Mountain, although I wouldn't mind even bulldozing that and rebuilding it to the Tokyo version. But this land needs to be bulldozed and completely rebuilt. I've said it so many times. How many times are you going to redress and repaint and you know, reconfigure the 1960s Tomorrowland? There comes a point where, you know what, let's get a new layout in here. But what say you, Sam? What do you think, brother?
I
mean,
completely
honestly,
agree.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. It's yeah, just give us a new one.
You know,
Yeah,
bulldoze. Yeah, I mean, why? Like, how many times are we going to reboot this 1960s version? How many times are you going to repaint it? How many colors are we going to change it? You know what I'm saying? It needs a complete overhaul.
You know what they should paint it to, OG?
Well,
I don't listen to K-pop, but they should paint it black and pink.
It's black and it's pink once the sundown.
Done. Its neighbor right across the thoroughfare is the old Carousel of Progress building, a massive, massive show building that currently, right now, is a DVC lounge and also select credit card character meet and greets. I think that's what they're still doing. Now, I'm not trying to rob or take anything from my DVC homies, but they do not need a building this big. Whatever comes next could have a DVC lounge in it. This doesn't need to be what it's being used for right now, because its use right now is massively under usage. But here's the good news. These two pieces of junk are essentially connected to one another. So if you wanted to do something massive, the two combined footprints could do something huge. And if you're willing to give up the front three as well as Galactic Grill and the shops, now you have serious, serious space to truly dream of a new tomorrow or new independent lands. Because the real thing you want to identify here is how much underused space is all connected. Therefore, it can all be daisy chained together as one massive expansion project. So again, if you're a Star Tours or a Buzz Lightyear fan, would you be willing to give up one of those attractions if you could envision it being taken apart with everything else I've already shown you, allowing Disney to have a massive, massive footprint to dream a better tomorrow, not only for Tomorrowland, but for all of Disneyland?
yeah, I would, but I'm very much when it comes to Disneyland, I'm not hardline mentally married to this stuff like a lot of fans are, right? I look, I mean, there's fans in the community and that's fine. That's their thing. But like for me personally, I like to see progress. I like to see things change. I think Walt, and I know this sounds really cliche, but it's true. I mean, he wanted this place to change and evolve. And I think the fact that they've repainted this land like 19 different times with different, you know, color schemes, and they haven't really addressed upgrading it. You know what I'm saying? It's lipstick on a pig for how long? Is sad to me. You know, I want to see progress. Yeah, bulldoze it and give us a really actual new Tomorrowland. And fans, look, I mean, and he'll get to it, but Space Mountain, even that, look what they're doing in Tokyo. It looks amazing already. Like the problem out here in California. Yeah, the problem out here in California is that every time we touch anything, the fans go nuts. But go ahead, Sam.
I was just gonna say, like, that Tokyo Space Mountain looks incredible. Like, even just like the photos, like, I know it's just photos, but like it looks gigantic. It looks really sick.
Oh hell yeah.
But friends, that's only 2 dead locations, because there's also 2 more. I lied when I said 3, because even I can't keep count with how much dead real estate exists here. Over my shoulders is the Starcade, former arcade. If you were to get rid of Star Tours, Star Traders, and Starcade, again, the footprint just gets bigger. And importantly, now we're opening a path to the one big success that this land has. Space Mountain is the reason why Tomorrowland has been on life support for so long, because it's placed in the back corner all paths bring you in to Space Mountain. It's literally the weenie at the end of the path to bring you into this land. But
Yeah, that's
does
a
it
really
have to
strong.
remain this version of Space Mountain? Let's talk.
What was that, Sam?
I was saying, like, this is a really strong point that Bricky makes, right? Because Space Mountain is all the way at the end, it forces you to walk all the way over to Space Mountain, and then you walk by all the other attractions, right?
Exactly. And like, yeah, like you said, the weenie, right? Where that is that icon at the end that draws you towards it. Kind of like the castle.
Yeah.
The castle is the weenie at the end of Main Street, you know? Now I've said weenie
Yeah.
like 4 times. I'm probably gonna get demonetized, but you know, it's okay.
Because if Disney is willing to get rid of this version of Space Mountain, they're now free to place it wherever they want to. It's also going to be free to be larger because it could absorb the amount of space that's being wasted on our 4th dead location, the Magic Eye Theater, that's currently sitting in front of Space Mountain, eating up a huge amount of real estate and not adding any value to the park whatsoever. This is all space that could literally make a better Space Mountain. And again, where the Starcade arcade ends is right around where the theater ends. So you have 2 dead spaces that could easily be removed and basically share an adjacent footprint. So all of our dead spots are somehow strangely connected. This creates massive Imagineering opportunity. Now we have another,
The last time they
nobody's favorite location.
used-
We have the alien.
What was that?
When
Sam?
was the last time they even used that theater?
You know,
Do you remember?
I mean,
I
the
don't even
last thing
remember.
I don't really either. The last thing I remember, I believe it was some sort of Pixar short film festival kind of thing or something like that with Pixar in there. I think that was the
I
last thing.
definitely remember in 2019 they used this theater to promote High School Musical the series. I definitely remember that, but everything else is like, when has this thing even been used?
I mean, even that. I mean, High School Musical the series, which was actually a pretty good show.
Yeah, it was.
Surprisingly, I actually liked it. But that thing is what, 6-7 years old now? I mean, it came out in what, 2019 with the launch of Disney Plus. So yeah, that was a while ago too.
Pizza Planet that happens to be right next to the Carousel of Progress building. Again, something that could be reimagined. You could put a restaurant anywhere once you land in your anchor tenants, which are signature attractions. But again, Space Mountain, the only true winner of Tomorrowland, conveniently located at the very back of the land, the center of the land. So you have to go through nearly every path to work your way there. I don't doubt for a second if Space Mountain had been designed with its entry point on one of the edges of Tomorrowland, it all would have met the wrecking ball a very long time ago, no doubt about it. Now that we've explored all the locations of Tomorrowland proper, let's go to the Tomorrowland outer boroughs, where the problems are just as complicated. And then we find ourselves on the edge of the opening day classic Autopia. Wrong. This is not the opening day classic. Autopia has been moved, I think, 3 or 4 times to get to this location. It could easily be moved again, along with the People Mover. Here's what Imagineering could pull off easily with a blank slate of land.
Let me ask you a question, Sam. People Mover. I mean, not People Mover. I'm sorry. Autopia. In your opinion, should they even move it or just get rid of it? In your opinion,
you know, I mean, it's an opening day attraction, so like I can see why for a lot of people it's hard to get rid of. And I mean, it sounds like, and even going back to your point earlier, right? Like people are still waiting for this thing, right? Like people are still waiting to ride Autopia. It's still attracting like the normies, and like even kids still like driving the cars. But like at the same time, I would be for closing it if it meant like we get like, you know, like a new Fantasyland or new Tomorrowland or something, you know. I always thought it would be kind of fun, and this is just like me armchair Imagineering, but I always thought it'd be kind of fun. And there's no space, so I don't think this could ever work. But I always thought it would be kind of fun if you moved it to Toontown, and then you sort of like redress the cars like they're in the cartoon, and then maybe they're like amphibians, so they're on land, and then they're on the water. I don't know.
I mean, that would be cool. That would give the kiddos a way to drive. You know that. I mean, and because I know it is when you're not driving age yet, it's pretty cool to be able to get behind the wheel and drive those little cars around. So you can do that in Toontown. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Autopia is a massive amount of real estate. in a park with very limited real estate, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like it's hard to justify all that space being used for go-karts, basically, you know? Now look, I see, I understand. I personally would get rid of it, but you make a great point where the normies do love it. And there is a level of nostalgia here for fans, being it's an opening day attraction and this, that, and the other. So I mean, if they don't want to get rid of it completely, make it smaller and put it somewhere else. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But in its current form, it's just way too big, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like one other benefit about Autopia is it's the only place where you can technically legally drunk drive, because you could have a few drinks at Oga's, then drive Autopia. It's the only place you can legally be drunk while driving.
Oh, that's actually very true. That's a great point, Sam. That's a great point.
A new version of Space Mountain that looks like the one that we're seeing being built in Japan. But this new version of Space Mountain could have its own Tomorrowland ecosystem with, on the ground, tiny electric cars of the future driving all around its footprint, going inside and outside of the attraction, and above it, a people mover. It is chaos right now. A people mover allowing people to go around the new version of Tomorrowland. These ideas don't have to die. They just need to be rebooted and placed in a footprint that feels alive and not like it's dead. You see, Tomorrowland does have some proven Disney classic winners.
I like where Bricky's mind is going with that, where it's like, okay, we're gonna take the original idea, the generalized concept of a land on the go, kinetic energy everywhere, things weaving in and out of each other. I think we all can agree that's pretty dope, right? But in its current form, it's not very efficient. You have an Autopia that's way too big. You have a people mover track that weaves in and out of that's rotting and just sitting there for 20 plus years. You have the monorail beam in the mix as well. It's you have empty buildings like the start, launch bay, like half of that's empty or utilized for like DVC. You have the Starcade, which is waste of space. Like there's so much like unutilized area, which like Bricky was talking about. Why don't we like sharpen it up a little bit, right? Use the same idea, the same kinetic energy, that world on the move kind of vibe, but just kind of tighten it up and make it work a little better. I love where he's going with this.
These are attractions that have kept guests excited for decades. And I'm not saying they should go away entirely. I'm just saying they should be placed in a layout that makes more sense. The look of joy on the little drivers when they pull into the station, it's awesome. There needs to be a version of Autopia. There needs to be an attraction that kids feel like they're in charge of. It just doesn't need to be the size of Main Street USA or Toontown. It could be done much smarter, much more clever. But oh wait, there are two more problems that a rebooted Tomorrowland would fix for Disneyland. The monorail inside of Disneyland is actually a theme park attraction, not a transportation vehicle of the future like it is out at the Magic Kingdom. Redoing all of Tomorrowland would...
Now, real quick, actually, I'm going to go back to, give me 1 second. This right here. This bothers me. This triggers my OCD like you wouldn't believe, Sam. The fact that they keep these Mickey stickers on here from the 90th. God. The decals that are on the monorail. For me, first of all, I've never liked this idea of using the monorails as like moving billboards to sell the new celebration or whatever. I personally just let the monorails be the monorails. But if you're going to do the billboard thing, take the stickers off when that said celebration's over with. So yeah, when I see these Mickey, I mean, every single time, man, I just like, it hits me right in my OCD. Like it drives me nuts.
Transportation vehicle of the future, like it is out at the Magic Kingdom. Redoing all of Tomorrowland would give the availability to have these trains circle inside of the park, but not be an attraction.
And just to show you how masterful Bricky is, little things like that shot that he just did right now, people are going to watch that and not realize he timed that whole thing perfectly to have the monorails on both sides. Look, I mean, that's awesome, dude. And a lot of people will watch these videos and not even think about that. It's the little details like that, though, that set Bricky apart.
Yeah, Bricky's a really
Therefore,
talented creator.
literally,
Really talented.
this would be the way to connect the monorail as a transportation line that could go through Disneyland, DCA, the hotels, and whatever comes next for Disneyland Forward. So this station right behind me, this is what makes the monorail an attraction and not transportation. You have to have a theme park ticket and a reservation to ride. But if this just became a looky-loo through Disneyland and DCA, they could put an actual stop, either the one that they have at the hotel, one in the Esplanade, and one wherever they want to take the monorail next. This reboot gives a different opportunity for the monorail and how we as fans might actually navigate at Disneyland. And oh yeah, let's talk about the subs. The Submarine Lagoon is aesthetically one of the most beautiful attractions inside of Disneyland. I mean, I say the lagoon is the real star here. But this is an attraction that Walt Disney Imagineering has wanted to save, that Walt Disney management has wanted to get rid of for quite a long time. They hate how much maintenance this requires, and it's relatively lower ride count per hour. Like it doesn't cycle a lot of people through. It's a bit of a production to get people in the submarines, to get them around, to get them to come back. But while they are submerged into liquid space, they are actually going underneath Autopia.
So here's the thing real quick. This is why I felt Avatar was the best thing they could have done. Like, okay, if you got rid of Autopia and the Submarine Lagoon, right? And you get rid of the motorboat cruise area and you put Pandora in that spot, right? You'd obviously would have to reroute the monorail. But Avatar is a perfect franchise that straddles tomorrow and fantasy. So you could have, it would be perfect for that spot. And then here's the other thing too. And Bricky hit the nail on the head. The lagoon is everything. The lagoon is it's aesthetic. That's all it is. No one really cares about the submarines. They just care about the body of water. You know, I mean, honestly, if you were to have Pandora here, you're not losing aesthetics. I mean, Pandora, no matter, it's going to be gorgeous no matter what they do with that. So you would have giant waterfalls and bodies of water. So you wouldn't lose the aesthetics. And I think Pandora would make a whole lot of sense in that transitionary spot right between Tomorrow and Fantasy. But it's going into DCA.
Yeah. Pandora is like so great, dude. I visited Pandora a few months ago. It was amazing. I thought like Pandora and Expedition Everest alone made a trip to Walt Disney World worth it. I mean, Pandora was just absolutely breathtaking. And I agree. This would have been a great place to put Pandora. I think that would have been a really good, really strong place to put it. Because as you said, it really is a great hybrid between like fantasy and tomorrow.
Yeah, no, it's that perfect segue.
Yeah.
So therefore, this is all a giant bowl of spaghetti that's all mixed together. Doing a hard Tomorrowland reboot gives them the opportunity to break that apart, possibly losing the subs, keeping the lagoon, extending Fantasyland, making the monorail real transportation, and making the Autopia feel like a futuristic car ride for little ones through a real version of tomorrow, not just a broken version of what we used to have as kids. I mean, I say we. I never came here as a kid, but you know, I could bond with you on that one. So now comes the moment of truth. There may be pieces of Tomorrowland that you absolutely adore and you love, and they're some of your most favorite parts of Disneyland. But when you look at all of the pieces attached to your little piece of heaven, is it worth keeping it all? Because it's all so interconnected, you can't really edit one individual piece without also considering all the pieces that it's connected to. And hopefully today I've given you a pretty strong case study on how it's all kind of connected. And if you start removing one piece and you think about removing its next door neighbor, the amount of space just gets bigger and bigger, which means the opportunity advantage scales and grows on how to make what is one of the biggest lands inside of Disneyland truly adaptable for generations to come, instead of generations that have already come and gone.
Yeah, no, he brings up a great point. And like I said, I've been saying this for a really long time. I mean, we need a new Tomorrowland. We need to stop redressing the old version of Tomorrowland from the 1960s. And this is exactly it. Everything is
Mhm.
interconnected. The People Mover track runs through literally everything. You know,
Yeah.
the submarines run underneath Autopia. It's all interwoven. I mean, you have to take it all out and kind of start from scratch, you know? And I'm fine with that. I mean, it's Tomorrowland. I mean, I get nostalgia. I understand fans are nostalgic, but at the same time, I mean, especially for this land, more than any other land, we got it. We got to move
Yeah.
forward. You know what I'm saying? What say you, Sam?
Yeah, for sure. To quote Walt Disney, we have to keep moving forward, open new doors. 'Cause, yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah, but no, I completely agree. It's in my opinion long past time we get a new Tomorrowland. And yeah, it's great. Yeah, this land definitely peaked in the 1960s when like you had like the motorboats, the people mover, the Autopia, the subs, the Skyway, the rocket jets, all this amazing kinetic energy. That's really when it reached its peak. And it just feels like ever since it's really sort of just been living in the shadow of its former self, so to speak. So I completely agree. I think it's really time to just sort of go in there, bulldoze bulldoze a lot of these old buildings that aren't really even used anymore. And as Bricky was saying, that frees up so much space that they could build for something new and amazing, you know? And while you're at
Yeah.
it, build a Tron ride.
There we go. Yeah, build a Tron ride. Maybe not the same one they have in Magic Kingdom,
Yeah,
but
no.
something different that would be
Something
really, really
new.
cool. Yeah, 100%. Well said.
I'll end today's video with this one little thing that I want to share with you. This isn't a video about negativity. This is a video about love. I love Disneyland and I want the absolute best for it. And nobody can tell me that this version of Tomorrowland is what's best for the future and the current state of this park. But I'll also agree with Disney that removing one piece basically means you need to remove all of it. It's extremely complicated, it's extremely expensive, and I don't know that they have the perfect idea. So I'm willing to wait for the perfect idea to show up because I no longer want a future that's patched together. I want a future that has one clear vision of where it's going, or maybe a smaller future and a couple of new neighbors on either side of it. I'm Bricky. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's.
Bricky is awesome. We love Bricky.
Yeah.
I'll be linking his vlog and his main channel down below in the description. But, you know, to kind of cap this off, like this particular segment, I mean, he's right. The 1998 Tomorrowland is exactly what we want to avoid again. They completely phoned that in, and it led to decades of problems. The last thing we need is for them to go in here without a plan and phone it in again, and we're back to square one again in a few years. If we have to wait, we have to wait. We are going to have to wait because I think DCA right now is a priority, and it should be. DCA needs to plus up a little bit.
Yeah.
But even I think Disney wants to get a lot of these big IPs out there. I think, like, you know, I wouldn't surprise me if we get some sort of Frozen land at Disneyland before they touch Tomorrowland. Who knows, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see. But do it when you have the money and the vision, Disney. And I'll tell you what, though, if Josh D'Amaro, if he becomes our next CEO, and one of his first moves is giving fans an all new Tomorrowland with a really dope vision for this area. You want to talk about getting started off on the right foot, Josh? Because that was one of the things that it'd be perfect. And that was one of the moves that Bob Iger made that was really, really smart. He made a play for the heart and minds, right? Well, the first few things he did, he bought Pixar. He brought Pixar into the Disney family, and he got Oswald back from Universal. He started off already kind of winning people over, and it set the trajectory for his entire tenure as CEO. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think Josh needs to do something like that. And this right here, because we talked about it at the beginning of the video, Tomorrowland is the top thing that fans care about the most. Bricky sees it in his content with his comments. I see it in my content with my comments for years and years. The fans want Tomorrowland, Josh. Come on, buddy.
I mean, any executive who announces the new Tomorrowland will be praised by the fans for like decades, dude. Because fans have been asking this for such a long time. And yeah, I think that would be a great move for Josh. But actually, I had a question I wanted to ask you that Bricky didn't address in this video. Sure. So Tomorrowland has had a lot of issues, but another attraction that has had some issues is the Matterhorn, which is right next door. So what I would want to know is, would Disney also use that? And I don't want to like piss off or scare fans, but like, do you think that they might, if they're renovating all of Tomorrowland, do you think they might also like do something with the Matterhorn as well?
That's a tough one. I don't think they'll ever get rid of the Matterhorn,
Yeah.
but here's a big but.
Mhm.
I don't think they're going to get rid of the Matterhorn, but I can definitely see them going in there and adding an IP to it.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, I think you can't get rid of that giant mountain. It's because it's so part of Disneyland. You know, it's an icon. It's like the castle or Small World. You can't get rid of it.
Mhm.
But what you can do is you can put Olaf in there, you know,
Oh,
or something like that, you know. So I think that's definitely on like a possibility. I don't want to scare
Mhm.
fans either, but yeah, I think that's a possibility. But getting rid of it altogether, no, I don't think they will.
Because that
Now,
thing is usually like, that thing usually closes for like, I mean, that thing always has a lot of extended refurbishments, right? Like, do you think
yeah.
that they might just finally use that as opportunity to like replace the ride system? That way Disney doesn't have to keep it closed as often?
Yeah, I mean, you might have to do that. You're right. I mean, you know, there's going to be some. There probably will be, or has been, some kind of cost analysis with that, where it's like, how expensive is it year after year to sort of band-aid the problem when we can gut the whole mountain and put a new ride system in there. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? That we won't have to constantly tinker with every single year. You know, then that would be a massive endeavor. And if
Yeah.
they were to do that, Sam, that's when you would see the IP infusion. If they're going to spend all that
Mhm.
money to do that, gut the mountain, and add a new track or whatever they have to do, a new ride system of some kind, you would probably see them infuse an IP because they want to justify that expense.
Yeah.
And
Or
how do you
maybe
do that
have,
with an
yeah.
IP? You know?
Or maybe have like an IP thing open right next door to it.
Oh yeah, you can do that too.
Because
Yeah,
because Hong
something.
Kong Disneyland in I think it was 2014, they opened, if I remember this correctly, they opened Toy Story Land and Mystic Manor at the exact same time. So like, I feel like if Disney were to put a huge investment into a non-IP attraction, you would probably see it open with an IP attraction at the exact same time.
Yeah. Now hear me out. Hear me out. It's the Matterhorn, right? So what if it was like the Matter and then horn in capitals, and you're in bobsleds with little eyes in the front, like in the Cars universe? Yeah. Can you imagine? The fans would
God,
go nuts. Not in a
dude,
good
that
way.
would not in a good way. You think people were upset over the Rivers of America? Oh,
Can you imagine?
that would make that whole thing look like nothing.
The Matterhorn. That would be horrible. No, Josh Diamaro, if you're watching this, we don't want that, okay?
Nope.
Definitely not. So our last and final clip of the day is from the one and only Josh from Den of Nerds. I'll be linking his live show channel down below. He dips into this AI situation over there on Disney Plus. They announced today at the earnings call that they're considering doing user-generated AI short films, okay, on Disney Plus, which opens up a whole can of worms. But let's listen to what Josh has to say, and we'll talk about it. Here we go.
On Disney Plus through its agreement with Epic Games. Interesting. He said the Epic Games deal is actually more about Disney IP being used on the Epic platform. Oh, we're going to talk about that. I have that article pulled up right here. Don't worry, we got a lot to talk about. Features on Disney Plus through its agreement with Epic Games, and there will also be Gen AI short form user generated content on Disney Plus in the future. The other thing that we're really excited about is that AI is going to give us the ability to provide users of Disney Plus with much more engaged experience, including the ability for them to create user-generated content and to consume user-generated content, mostly short form, from others. Iger confirmed. Whoa.
Okay, so this is interesting, right? So you can go in there and you can create your own short film, AI generated, based on Disney IP. Now, from Disney's perspective, this is a really smart move because it's a data smorgasbord. Okay, I mean, you're having all these users go in there and typing in their ideal Disney film, and Disney is receiving that information and all that data, right? They're collecting all that. It's a giant
Yeah.
focus group, essentially, right? They're collecting
Mhm.
all that stuff. So I think I get it from that perspective. It also keeps people on the platform longer, which Disney wants that as well, because now you're creating. So that's part of like, staying on there longer. But here's the problems I can see, kind of the pitfalls I can see happening here with this. Yeah, and this is inevitable, Sam. You're gonna have like say with Star Wars, you're gonna have somebody create an AI short film based on the Star Wars franchise or something, and it's gonna be a banger. Okay, like just everyone's gonna love it, and then they're gonna turn to Disney and be like, how come this AI thing created by created by Joe Schmo 32? How come his video? How come his AI video is better than your movies? Right? It kind of creates a little bit of an issue for Disney, because being it's on the platform, you're going to have these inevitable comparisons to the actual product. So I think it's kind of a risky move. I mean, I don't know. What say you, Sam? What do you think about what say you about this whole situation?
It's interesting. So it sounds like Disney's going to allow AI to start creating user-generated content for like each specific user, right? Because each user is going to have like their own preferences and whatnot. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with this, because like I'm always going to want to see creations from actual human beings, like actual humans, right. But I can kind of see from Disney's perspective where this starts to become appealing, because like, I'm just going to use Frozen as an example here, right? Let's say you had one user who thinks Frozen needs to be, I don't know, let's say more violent. Let's just say one user thinks Frozen should be more violent, okay? And now let's say you had another user who thinks Frozen should be less violent, Now this is sort of like Disney's chance to, I know. Now this is kind of Disney's chance to like step in and say, for the AI to say, oh, this user wants Frozen to be more violent, let's make it more violent. And this user wants it to be less violent, so let's appeal to that user, make this movie less violent. Like it's sort of now a way for, this is sort of becoming a tool for Disney it sounds like this is going to become a tool for Disney to sort of optimize the satisfaction for each user. And it's going to be like the choices, right, that the consumers make that'll sort of create this more engaging experience. I don't know if engaging is the right word or not, but like create like a more engaging experience, so to speak. But yeah, like it's interesting for sure.
It is. To as a user, you can get in there and be like, what? Yeah, like you said, I think I can do Frozen better. So I'm going to do my AI short film of Frozen the way I want to do it. Make it more violent, make it more this, make it more that, and it's like, it's crazy. You can kind of tailor, everything can be kind of tailor made for the person watching. I don't know. There's a lot of benefits here with this, but there's a lot of pitfalls too. So I can kind of see both, like a lot of pros, but a lot of cons.
Yeah. And I also just hope too that like Disney is very, very careful with how they go about rolling this thing out, because to quickly tie this in, like going decades back to Fantasia in 1940 with the Sorcerer's Apprentice, Mickey Mouse, that whole thing. What, like the biggest lesson, and there's a reason why that short is so timeless, and it's one of the most timeless things Disney has ever made, is because like the whole message behind that story is that like, yeah, this new technology becomes available and we think, oh, this is going to make our lives so much more convenient with like the magic hat and Mickey, right? And then he brings the broomstick to life. So then he like falls asleep, right? But then when he wakes up, that's when he truly realizes what the consequences of implementing this technology way too fast were, right? Like now the room's all flooded, right? So really, I think like Disney needs to be very careful with how they roll about this technology, because we don't necessarily know like what the consequences of it would be yet. We don't know what all the consequences would be yet until like it's fully integrated. So that's why I think Disney has to be careful. No, and not just Disney, but like just all companies in general with AI.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And the internet's going to internet, and Disney only control so much. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's a fantastic point, Sam.
It sounds a bit like Disney plans to encroach on OpenAI's Sora's territory, or maybe it'll just use Sora 2. A bit later in the call, Iger said that Disney had a productive conversation, or have had productive conversations with unnamed AI companies, and that he hoped the studio giant could reach an agreement that would also reflect the need to protect IP. Wow. Wow. Okay, so let's just go over this again.
And that's another part of it, is they're making a play because of the copyright stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that's been a huge issue with the AI, right? It even says here on the article, you can't let Lilo and Stitch get into the wrong hands. You know, it's a big concern for these companies.
And it's crazy really to see like all these companies like doing that now. And I think this is probably the best time for all those companies to be doing that now, because like, I mean, well, AI companies are already like pretty powerful and already have like billions of dollars, right? But like as the years go on, that those companies are just going to become bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So like it makes sense to go after them now where they're not as big. You know?
No, you got exactly, Sam. You got to nip this technology and these companies in the bud early on. If you let it get out of control, it's really hard to put the genie back in the bottle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
About that AI is going to give us the ability to do. I mean, that's right on Front Street. AI is going to give us the ability to do this. Is provide users of Disney Plus with a much more engaged experience, including the ability for them to create user-generated content and to consume user-generated content, mostly short form, from others. Man, that is like a real head scratcher, dude. That is a real head scratcher. Like, look, on the one hand, this is stuff we've been talking about for some time. I think a lot of folks see the potential in AI technology to do this. You know, even before the AI thing with video games, just in general, I said that I thought one of the big problems for Disney, and I really feel this way, okay? One of the big problems for Disney over the last 5 to 10 years is that a lot of the curators of the content, which essentially operates as just a barrier to entry for, let's call them an audience with incredibly diverse opinions about all kinds of different things that are very sensitive to social signaling and all sorts of other phenomenon. It's just the case that even video games themselves give the IP a better on-ramp to the customers that desire to have experiences with it, simply because there is a lack of curators. Now, in the traditional video game world, there's still a lot of this. You still have very narrative-based games, but even within those, you have like the BioWare games, or like I remember the old BioWare games when they were actually like really solid. And what I'm talking about is like the Paragon system. Essentially, you are going to make choices in the game. You're either going to be good or you're going to be bad. And those choices are going to reflect in the story down the road. So you will have to pay consequences for things you do, bad or good, in the game, okay? But even that is a curated experience, but it's a lot more free than the experience of going into a movie theater and watching a 2 to 3 hour movie or watching a big show at home, right? I legitimately think this is an issue. And I think Disney would be smart to sort of push more user-generated experiences, because the curator is the user, right? How can the user get mad at Disney when they're the ones that are, creating the content, right? However, this feels really weird to me, and I think this is like very tone deaf for the time. And man, I just, I'm seeing a lot of that going around. I'm seeing a lot of that going around with tone deaf, because, like, dude, a lot of things feel dehumanizing, and I think that's part of the reason why AI is getting attacked so much, is because it does feel dehumanizing. And when you have big CEOs like Bob Iger come out and say shit like this, it's like, how it does kind of feel like he's saying, we want to go away from this and give you user-generated Disney AI slop. You know what I mean? And
yeah, and
that is bad, and it does feel dehumanizing. It does.
I just think too, just in general, like I think just one of Bob Iger's like areas for improvement, just in general, is just like his PR statements. I don't know, man. I just feel like Bob Iger has never really been the best when it comes to playing out PR statements like these. I mean, like the writer's strike, there was the whole Pirates of the Caribbean thing. Like, I don't know. I just feel like one of Iger's areas for improvement is really just these PR statements.
Yeah, especially lately, he's gotten worse, I think,
Yeah.
And it's interesting that Josh brings up a great point, the dehumanization of things. And this has been something that I've been concerned about for a long time too, where it's like, I was recently in the Hollywood area, to go check out that Tesla diner, which was actually pretty cool. I'm not an Elon Musk fan, but the diner is pretty dope. It was pretty fun. But in that area, we saw a bunch of driverless Waymo vehicles. A lot more than I was expecting to see. These driverless cars were everywhere, dude. I mean, it was crazy, all around Hollywood. And visually, it was kind of dope because it was like, oh man, I'm like literally like in Back to the Future Part 2. This is sick. You know what I'm saying? This is pretty dope. But then when the reality hits you, you're like, but is it dope? Is it cool? Like, I don't know. Like for me, getting into a taxi or getting into an Uber and having a real person sitting there driving you, you can talk to them. There's a connection there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To get into a vehicle where there's no driver, that then they're driverless cars going to take you home, where you're going to again not talk to real people because you're going to be talking to everyone through your phone, through screen and texting, and then you know what? Hey, I'm hungry. Oh, I'll DoorDash, and then the DoorDasher just leaves the food on the doorstep. You're not it's that dehumanization in society where we're not dealing with anybody anymore. There's no people interaction, and that's one of the things too. Even in like the dating scene, like I've seen a lot of women complaining that men aren't approaching them. All these dudes now are just sitting on dating apps. And it's like there's no face-to-face interaction or very little face-to-face interaction between human beings. And I think that's very, very sad. And I think that, you know, it all kind of wraps into what Josh is saying with this dehumanization. And now our content is going to be generated by, you know, we're going to write the text and it'll just generate it. You know, it's like one more thing to take the humanity out of it, right? Now, I don't think this is going to replace the main core Disney content. Like Disney's still going to create their films and do their shows. This will just be a little corner of Disney Plus where you can kind of have fun and do your own thing. But like you were saying, Sam, it's a slippery slope.
It is.
So
yeah, and
how far do they go eventually with it?
Yeah, and you know, honestly, I don't think, and this is all subjective, but in my opinion, I don't think AIs will ever be as smart as actual humans. Like, I think it'll get, I think it could get close. Like, I think it could get very close in the future, but I don't know. I don't think it'll ever be, I don't think AI will ever be as intelligent. Hopefully, like, if there's an AI war, AI don't come after me for saying that, but like,
yeah,
I'm just kidding. But like, no, I don't know, man, right? Because like, I don't know. I just don't think, I don't know, man. I just think that like humans will always just kind of be smart, always like have a more, slightly more intelligent than even like the most advanced AI will be. But like, and it's important to have that human connection, like content as well, right? Like, what was that quote that Jack Sparrow said in Pirates 3? Is like, the world's still the same. It's just less, there's just less in it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know, one thing for sure, Sam, we got to start working out because we might have to, you know, start fighting some AI robots. So
we'll be living in the Terminator or Creator, whatever. Yeah.
Oh, dude, we got to get buff like our friend Jared from Capture the Magic. We got to get buff, man. We got to get buff. We might have to fight these robots. You never know.
Feel like completely out of touch. You know what I mean? To where I think a lot of people are at right now and the things that they are personally struggling with, you know what I mean? I also think this is an aside to all of what I just mentioned, and that's the short form thing. That I don't understand at all. What the fuck? Short form? We're doing AI generated short form. Is that because like I don't understand that? Is that like an angling? Are they trying to tap into the energy of social media a bit and create like Snapchat filter trends and, you know, stuff like that, and maybe have it happen right there on the app? I don't know. This is a really, really interesting kind of a situation, right? So I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I'm excited about the prospect of the technology, and I think from a branding perspective, getting the curators out of the way and giving it to the user is the move, right? I get a little worried with this whole like protect the IP kind of stuff. What does that mean exactly? That's a little bit weird. And I would also argue the more you try to do that, the more it's going to. See,
that's where I respectfully disagree with Josh. I mean, these companies, this is their IP. So I for me personally, and I could be misreading what Josh is saying, for me personally, I see nothing wrong with Disney or Universal or Fox or any of these companies or Paramount, whatever, trying to protect their property. As content creators, we have IP or you know, I mean, I don't want someone just uploading my videos to their platform. So why should Disney be okay with people taking their characters and using them any way they want? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I have no issue with Disney making big moves to protect their IP. That's, I mean, if you don't have your IP, you have nothing in this industry. You
Yeah.
know, so I mean that's part and parcel. I mean that they should be protecting their IP. You know.
Yeah.
Slip through your fingers, right? But yeah, and that's that's kind of all that this article says here. Let's stop for a second and see what you guys think about this. But I also want to talk about this. This is the Epic deal here.
Okay, so another great video. I'll link everything down below. If you're not familiar with Den of Nerds, do yourself a favor and check him out. He does a lot of great stuff. His live shows are absolute bangers. He's a really great creator in the space. He doesn't do theme park stuff, and I know a lot of people that watch OG55, you know, are more into theme parks. But if you're into the nerdy stuff like this stuff or like Marvel or Star Wars or any of that, he's your guy. So he's a cool dude. I've talked to him on X before. Really nice guy too. But make sure you subscribe to him. But any final thoughts, Sam, before we get out of here today?
No, yeah, this was a fun conversation, and but yeah, no, in regards to AI, Disney does have to be careful, and yeah.
Yeah, no. So we'll see. We'll see. Now, before we get out of here, Sam, you know the drill, my friend. You know the drill. We got two things that I'm going to share. We have CTM Apparel, which is our good friend Jared from Capture the Magic. His t-shirt apparel shop. He has some new designs here, some retro stuff, some Christmas stuff for the holidays. If you use promo code OG55, you'll get 10% off your purchase. Right now it's perfect time to do that because the holiday season is upon us. And, you know, I mean, buy a nice, cool little nerdy shirt for your nerdy loved one. You know, why not? Right. So check it out. Actually, I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 25% off because of like Black Friday sale. So make sure you check it out. Link down below. And last but certainly not least, the lovely, the one and only Miss Mimi Fan. She's a friend of the channel. Really sweet girl, really fun girl. She does a lot of great content all about fun places in LA and Orange County, as well as like great food spots. This is like an underwater experience called Miss Fish. Again, she does a lot of great content with all this stuff. So make sure you subscribe to her. Her YouTube channel is down below. Her Instagram is also down below. And if you're looking for fun spots, make sure you check out Mimi Fan. There she is. SamChat. Where can everybody find you on social media, my friend?
Yeah, thanks again for having me back on. You could find me at SamChat Productions on Instagram, and you can also find me at SamChat21 on X, formerly known as Twitter.
There we go. There we go. And we're going to close out with the lovely Mimi Fan. Sam, thank you for joining us. Thank you all for watching OG55. And until the next time, see you.
Thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and become a member today.